Solaris is a game of galactic conquest where players must battle for position and be the first to control half of the entire galaxy. Through diplomacy, trade, and pure military force, players will be enacting one turn per day until the victory conditions have been achieved. I myself will be spectating the game and interacting with the players, documenting their strategy and motivations as each decision becomes more and more difficult. Playing as the green circles in the south, introducing.
Hello, this is Golden Machine.
Then playing as the gray circles in the southwest is.
I am Red Shade.
Further to the west, we have the pink diamonds, played by.
My name is Triage.
Then in the north, the blue diamonds, played by.
I am Mark playing as Otherberry.
And lastly, the red diamonds in the east, played by.
My name is Fruit Dealing, aka Root Dealing.
Solaris is broken down by ticks, which are representative of in-game time. Each player turn represents 6 ticks, and a total of 20 ticks completes the galactic cycle. At the end of each cycle, players receive income and will have another set of decisions, as players must balance expanding their own empire with defending against enemy attacks and negotiating alliances. A player's spawn can be very impactful. Where a player starts in the game can determine their access to resources, their starting position in relation to other players, and the strategic options available to them. A player who spawns in a remote area with few resources may struggle to build up their fleet and expand their empire, while a player who spawns in a resource-rich area may have a significant early advantage. Additionally, player spawns can influence the geopolitical landscape of the game. If 2 players spawn near each other, they may become immediate rivals and engage in early conflict. Alternatively, they can form an alliance and demilitarize their borders, allowing them to focus on only one front for military expansion. With that being said, how do our current players feel about their spawn?
I'm happy with my spawn. I have ownership of 1 binary, and I have 3 more that are within reach in the next couple turns.
A binary star refers to a special type of star system that contains 2 stars orbiting around each other. These systems are important because they contain more resources than single star systems, making them valuable targets for players to capture and control. They are often sought after and the focal point of intense conflict.
I feel pretty good about my spawn. I think everyone starts with their back against the wall. I got a black hole, I got some binaries, and decent amount of close stars.
Black holes are identified by a black circle with a thin white outline. These stars are not usually beneficial from an infrastructure perspective, but what it does provide is incredible vision by increasing scanning at that location by 3. Any player who controls a black hole at a neighboring border will be able to spot fleet movement significantly earlier than normal, allowing for faster response times to threats or added confidence when initiating a first move.
I have some interesting stars around me. There's this nebula up to the upper left. There's this nebula that I'm going to try and reach to understand exactly what that is. I have a couple of black holes, which should give me a good view around what else is out here.
Nebulas are indicated by the cloudy aura around the location. They conceal the infrastructure and ship counts at the star from all other players, which is great to hide what you're doing at that location. Most players, prior to attacking, will math out the expected results, and any good general would recognize if they're outnumbered that sending a fleet would be suicide. So, the ability to hide knowledge has an unquantifiable value on the battlefield.
I feel mediocre. I have one less than ideal binary, but I started with it, so I can't complain.
The binary our red player is referencing is Jerusu. It has a natural resource count of 94, putting it in the middle of the pack when compared to other binaries in the galaxy. Green, pink, and red all have spawned with 1 binary, while gray has spawned with 2. As for our blue player,
No, I feel like I've got a pretty good set of planets.
Unfortunately, they would be wrong, as their largest star is the capital star with just 50 natural resources. In addition, when looking to adjacent stars, they do not have anything of substantial value, making our blue player tremendously far behind, just from the spawn. For reference, our green player spawned with 1 binary and can see 3 additional binaries within vision. Gray spawned with 2 while seeing just 1 additional binary in vision. Pink spawned with 1 and can see 1. Red spawned with 1 and can see 0, while our blue player again spawned with 0 and can see no further binaries in the distance.
I have a feeling that someone else is starting with much better stars than me, so we'll see.
A player's vision is indicated by the solid white line forming a circle around the selected star. The jagged white line indicates how far their fleet can travel from the selected star, meaning, at this moment, players may see something that they cannot directly travel to without stopping at another star along the way. I have been given spectator mode, allowing me to see the entire galaxy, but to our players, at this current stage, they can only see just a handful of the neighboring stars. The rest of their screen and galaxy is completely dark.
I currently can see no one at all, which is a little scary, but hopefully that means I get some early stars.
Overall, I don't know where I am in the galaxy. I have no visibility of other players.
I can't see anything, but there's just like a big lull in the middle, which concerns me a little bit, but
I can't wait to hit those black holes and see what else is around.
Throughout the game, players will use their money to purchase infrastructure and further manipulate their empire's output. Investing in economy structures will increase the amount of money that player receives at the end of the galactic cycle. Players spending towards industry structures will output more ships at that location, and players purchasing science structures will increase the rate at which they research new technologies.
I actually really like researching experimentation and trying to level that up as much as possible, because experimentation will give you that random boost, and if you get it high enough, then you'll get automatic level ups.
First thing I always like to go for is experimentation. I just like getting that early science boost. I think it gives me an edge early game, and then I can focus on money later on.
I'm researching specialists first because I want to make sure that if I get attacked, I can use those tokens to defend, hopefully, one of these binaries nearby that I will take over.
In addition to currency, players receive specialist tokens, allowing them to enable specific traits on their stars or carriers. Players can hold on to their tokens and continue to gain them throughout the game in order to obtain those high-value rewards, or use them now and gain an advantage against your opponents.
I hope to not use my specialist until I get to 10, then I can get that world builder, and should be set from there. It could be pretty powerful if you get it early enough. And then, place it as in a far back star where no one can see it until it's too late and you're already pumping out hundreds of ships every turn.
I sunk my entire 5 points into a raider so that I could sprint to hopefully pick up 2 binaries with that 1 specialist. I'll pick up a binary in 3 ticks because of that specialist, and then within 8 ticks total, it will reach the 2nd binary star. So it is a risk, because if somebody else happens to be close to that 2nd binary, they could definitely steal it from me and potentially kill all 5 of my points. But with having targeted researching specialist 2 as my first research, I'm hoping that that'll help me scale back up and replace those points that I used early on.
The Raider increases carrier speed by 2, but deducts 2 in weapons when engaged in combat. Using the Specialist, as Green mentioned, will allow for significantly faster travel time at the cost of weaker weapons. Blue and Red are the only factions that have visibility to one another, and have immediately entered a trade agreement as well as an alliance, allowing them to focus on outward expansion rather than militarizing their borders. Blue will be researching terraforming, while Red will be researching experimentation. Once complete, they will trade both technologies to one another. The last step of our players is to decide which direction they will be expanding, and how diplomacy will look if and when encountering a new faction.
So my strategy is to move all of my ships to the outer fringes and try to capture as many planets as I can as quickly as I can, spending a good portion of my money just building carriers.
In my opinion, best to take all of your ships out and send them in all directions to expand your frontier and get more resources available to you. Then you have a better idea of where you should actually be investing.
With the visibility of multiple binaries, I'm rushing to try to capture those as quickly as possible, while also trying to spread out and increase my vision so I can see the nearest player, as well as identify where in the galaxy I am. I want to make sure that I can figure out where the center of the galaxy is to quickly expand in that direction.
My strategy is to not be the biggest superpower, because that's how you have everyone team up on you. So I want to be number 2 or number 3, or at least make it seem that way. And then we'll see what kind of shenanigans and what kind of strategies and what kind of trick plays I can pull off.
Generally speaking, I'm usually more of a defensive guy. I like to establish myself in a decent position where no one really wants to mess with me, but at the same time, where I can continue to grow. If everybody else around me is fighting, someone's getting beaten, then maybe I can join them to make sure they don't get knocked out. Just kind of be the balancer if I can, and continue to grow. The main thing is growing until you can hit a point where you can snowball, right? I kind of love that in that sort of aspect in this specific thing where it can pay off to be aggressive. If you take someone out and then you just take over all of their resources, sometimes you have to be aggressive. I'd say it's too early to call how I'm going to have to play this one. Right now, it's just about seeing where everyone is, what I can capture before they get there, and just trying to spread out and establish a strong core.
Similar to meeting my first neighbor, it will depend on where they're situated around my galaxy. With the binaries being so valuable, especially this early on in the game, I'm going to be aggressive towards anyone who might be trying to capture those. Otherwise, I might start with an economy focus because I could ramp up quickly with those binaries, and then be friendly and try to get a good ally or partner that helps expand my visibility and relationships across the galaxy. Overall, I'd say I'm happy with my start, but I definitely need to increase my visibility quickly to understand where I sit in the galaxy. I think positionally it'll be very important depending on where my neighbors are, and I do see a black hole that's a little bit far off, so potentially if nobody else takes it, I could try to get to that black hole as a secondary option to gain more visibility to the rest of the universe. There's also a pulsar, which I'm kind of wary of taking over because then everybody in the galaxy will know where I'm located, but it does have a nebula on it, so there is a potential for that to be kind of a hub where nobody has visibility of what's actually on the planet, and I can start building out from there.
Once all players have made their final decisions, they will end their turn and the game will advance 6 ticks and resolve all actions that took place. This includes ship travel, combat, production, and so on. After 20 ticks, a galactic cycle will complete, supplying our players with more income as well as specialist tokens, which will be utilized as needed. Who will be the first to conquer half the galaxy?
I'm 100% going to try to destroy Elliot with all of my forces, all of my money, and all of my energy. So if my neighbor is anyone but Elliot, I will ally them with the goal of destroying Elliot.